Hey guys, it's my old JohnyTechReview and I hope you guys are all doing well. So it's been roughly a little bit over a month since I started using this ErgoTune desk chair. So this is a computer chair that is being slowly marketed and entering the US market. ErgoTune has a little bit of history in the back from other market in the Asian market, specifically in Australia, etc. And they have some present in the Europe market, but they're also starting to enter the American market. So they were asking me, hey Bao, what are you using for chair right now? Are you interested in testing our chair? I did mention to them that I was using the Herman Miller chair. My Herman Miller, and I'll get a little bit more detailed out, but I have the Herman Miller Aeron chair. That is being my task chair for the past 3 years or so. So, switching to this chair has some pro and con, and I'll get into a little bit of detail of that later in the review. So first of all, right off the bat, most people probably want to know how much the chair costs. I received it as a sample unit for review, and this is production unit, and this is the H1 version. This one run at $570 US at the time of me reviewing this. From my perspective, that fall in line with what this chair offers, and compared to something like the Herman Miller, which is a bit more expensive, depends on the type of chair you're getting. Comparing new to new, this definitely come as a cheaper option than something like the Herman Miller. If you are into things like Secret Lab, those type of like gaming style of chair, then of course they kind of fall right in range with each chair with different options, but I keep that in mind. So first of all, let's talk about the setup. From a setup perspective, this chair come in a big box and everything was not assembled. You have like the bottom piece, the wheel, the caster, and then the back piece and the headrest. You have to combine all of those together. What I really appreciate is the company giving you a nice poster that you can see everything, and it's all laid out, all the screw and everything that you needed are basically labeled with the proper naming and everything, and they give you one of those Allen wrench that has a little turn like this, which make it very simple to install. For me, taking it apart, unboxing, and then putting it together, slowly filming some of it in the time lapse, etc., that took me roughly about 30 minutes. I believe if you are doing this by yourself for the first time and you have experience in putting stuff together, 10-15 minutes should be enough. And for someone who doesn't put a lot of furniture together, might take you 20-30 minutes, but really the instruction is really well laid out. Big poster. I really commend and appreciate that part of it. Yes, if you buy something like the Herman Miller or the steel case bowl, which I have, yeah, they do come assembled in many cases, especially the Herman Miller. So yeah, that is the differences, but of course those come at different price range. Alright, now let's talk about the build quality of this chair a little bit. In that regard, these are basically my perspective. I have a cheap $150, $200 gaming chair that I used before. Bought my kit one recently from Amazon. I also have a Herman Miller. Keep in mind my Herman Miller was not brand new. I bought it used on the Facebook market for about $375 3 or 4 years back. So before, actually now these days you can get them a little bit cheaper, but that kind of give you an idea. I also have a steel case. I forgot the model. I bought it for my wife. That one is more of a cushion and fabric mesh, and that one is quite good. I really love that one, so I'll show some video there when I'm talking about comparison, but those are kind of my perspective and comparing to this chair. This chair has a mesh layout with really similar meshing like the Herman Miller. The Herman Miller definitely to me is a more worn-in chair, so the meshing doesn't feel as new as this chair, but as far as soft and comfort and firm, it's about the same, and I feel like this has really good support. From my perspective, the other part, the build, the caster, the steel leg, all make out metal. Everything is make out well, hard plastic in place that it needs to be, and soft plastic like the arm cushion. Very well done. There's really just one problem with the quality of this chair. I had my Herman Miller bought used for 3 years and it never squeaked. This chair, after about 2 weeks of usage, it's starting to squeak, and you can hear some of that in some of my videos, clip that I took separately so you can hear it. I believe the squeak came from probably the spring and somewhat component inside. I know it's right in the bottom here, and as I'm leaning and rotating and putting stress on it, it definitely makes those noise. I believe this is, from a quality perspective, if you're buying a $500 chair, you kind of expect flawless from that perspective. So that's something to consider. And it also depends on how tighten those screws. I tighten mine pretty good, not to like the most extreme, but all my screws are well tightened now. Again, that has to do something, but of course, you know, a W40, something like that can solve it, but I want you to be aware of that this chair does squeak after about 2 weeks of using it. Now, let's talk a little bit about comfort. This is where I think this chair really exceed. They give you a few booklet. That booklet has some of the explanation of how to set the chair in, you know, play mode, walk mode, chill mode, read mode, etc. It's interesting. But from my perspective, this chair I use basically 100% here in this room where I'm working. And in this room, the chair serves as a 9 to 5 kind of job where I'm working remotely most of the day. And other than that, I don't really use it for chilling. And usually I'm laying in bed or sitting on the ottoman or somewhere else. So for me, my use case is all work. The chair does lean back. I have it right now in the lean back configuration. And it does lean back quite well. And you can kind of see this is the maximum it will lean back. So if you have something like a steel case or one of the gaming chairs that lean way more back, this is not a chair for you. I am 172-ish pounds, so in that regard, this chair will support me very well, and there's never a time where I feel like if I'm leaning back, it's gonna tip over. That doesn't happen. I also like the fact that the lumbar support is very adjustable and it's quite large in the area. You can adjust it a little bit down. I think in this case, this chair has better support than the Herman Miller chair, the Aeron does, at least the Aeron. The Aeron also for me was one of the things that I missed when I switched to the Aeron was that the fact that the Aerons go pretty low. I think that's the large that I have over here, but it only go up to about here. So you know, when you don't really have a headrest or neck rest. So for me, I always have that was the downside for the Herman Miller for me, the Aeron for me. And moving into this chair, I definitely do not want to go back. I'm so used to, even if I don't lean back like this, even if I'm just sitting normally like this, let me lock it up here a second. Even if I'm just sitting like this, it's really nice to be able to walk and just kind of lean back and having your back and your neck supported. So to me, this is the biggest downside of the Aeron. Those who have the Aeron knows that you can buy third-party clip-on headrest that really works too, but I just never got to that point, and those were quite expensive, so I didn't do that. The other perspective you have to consider is that the Aeron chair that I bought was used, so it was probably well worn in already. It looks pretty new, but more or less the chair was worn in. I used it for 3 years and I felt like the support of the chair never changed. So far I'm a month and a half into this chair, and in that time probably a month of sitting because I was traveling a little bit. It's super comfortable. The fabric, the mesh seemed to be very firm and holding me well, and I don't see any worn out the mesh yet. This will have to be something that over time you have to see if this matters or not in terms of the mesh will worn out and faster than the Aeron. The Aeron mesh seems to last quite a long time also. So keep that in mind. Some of the other adjustment that is really nice is of course the headrest. It does do different things. The neck rest, sorry. It does go in and out, up and down, and there's multiple levels of that. The lumbar also does the same, and the armrest goes also up and down, and it has a little bit of adjustment. Again, my Aeron have some adjustment up and down. In and out for the Aeron for the armrest was non-existent. This is probably the second best chair that I have in terms of armrest. My steel case series that I have downstairs that my wife used, that one actually have a lot more what you call a movement and position. This chair has a little bit less. It was a little bit weird first to make this adjustment on the arm. You know, you can see it, but the arm has this feeling where you can make it come forward more, but you have to rotate it all the way around, which at first feel very unnatural, but over time as I worn it in, it works well. But for me, from my perspective and my build, I didn't need to have it so much forward, so really the standard setup for me works pretty well. So really, when it comes down to it, the build quality is really well done. It's really comfortable. The price I think is right. The only concern that some people might have is again is that squeakiness, which you can get rid of in various different ways. But that's, you know, kind of take away from some of that quality. So if you ask me today, I didn't pay for this, just was sent to me. If you ask me today if I have to spend $500 on a chair, I could obviously get a used Aeron for much less than that, or on one of these new, or maybe one of these used if it, you know, become more saturated in this market. I would say I would go to one of these for a simple reason that it has headrest and neck rest. I would say if you're looking for something like in the Aeron or the task chair, you're gonna pay a lot more for that. So the next chair that I would say in the Herman Miller line that you will want to have that kind of support will be the Embody, I think is the next one, at least in this series anyway. but that is over $1,000. Now in terms of warranty, the Aeron is 10 years from what I remember correctly. I bought my used, so you know, none of that warranty, but works fine, no problem with it. The ErgoTune here has a 12 years warranty. Again, I haven't had a problem with it for using it for a month and a half or so. So really, how good the customer service is still yet to be seen. Online wide reviews, not too many reviews in the US yet. I know this is now being sent out to reviewers and other people are starting to buy it. They have a, what do you call, a smaller version of this, or the lighter version of this. It's a little bit cheaper. I think about $400. This one is again like about $570, $580. You can see it on sale from time to time. But definitely this chair is worth your attention if you're interested in this. Hopefully my videos have shown some of that, and you know, watch other people's video to get your own kind of review on it. But from my perspective, if you ask me today how I will spend $500, this is definitely on the top of my list, if not the top one. Yeah, there are other options like gaming chair, but I'm not really into those aesthetic and those style. So for me, a task chair is really important. Yes, I have used those, you know, cheaper $150, $200 chair, and they're nowhere near as good as this chair. One of the other things that I noticed the Aeron and the steel case chair has that this chair doesn't is there's a lot of setting and option here, but none of it is labeled. There's no text, no icon. So yes, over time you get used to it. You use the chair enough, and for me, I don't move up and down a lot, so I know exactly what position I need to be in. But if I need to make any adjustment, there's no label or text. I think ErgoTune can also utilize some of the you know, looking at the other people in the space and make some of those adjustments. I think having a little bit of label here and there look pretty nice, and it also gives you a little bit of identity to your brand. So I think that's something that they should be looking into. Other than that, I'm really quite happy with this chair. Again, thank you for ErgoTune for sending this unit out for me to review. So I hope this review helped you guys in your purchase decision. If you guys have any question, feel free to reach out to me in the comment box down below. If you like this kind of content, subscribe and stay tuned for more future review. Thank you.